What's up, superstars? On this video, we're actually going to be creating two different t-shirts for you guys. This is going to be a front and a back design along with a neck tag label. So we'll show you the whole process on how we put this together. On top of that, we're actually going to be doing two different sizes, a size small as well as a size large, so that you guys can see the difference between the t-shirts as well as the size of the transfers. And on top of that, we're actually going to be using our hat press and a heat press to do the neck tag labels so that we can go over different techniques and styles, and I'll also show you what you should or should not do. So make sure you guys watch to the end because I'm sure you guys will get some tips on this video. So in order to get this job done, here's a couple of things that we're going to be using as far as materials. We've got our heat resistant tape, we've got a little ruler here, we've got a big ruler, we've got a t-shirt alignment guide. I also have our favorite DTF scissors. We have our heat press pillow. We're gonna be using Next Level 3600s. These are gonna be 100% cotton tees. They're black. And then lastly, these are gonna be the transfers that we're using. So this is gonna be our gang sheet that we printed it out. So what we're seeing here is gonna be two different sizes. So I have a smaller size for our size small shirt, and I have a larger size for our larger shirt. These are unisex shirts. A lot of people like to keep them consistent. They like to keep it the same size, but in this particular case, they wanted to change it for the small, so we made it just a tad bit smaller. So on top of that, so this larger design is actually going to be 13 inches in width, and I actually have 14 inches in height. And for the smaller, it's going to be 12 inches by 13 inches. And then we're going to be doing pocket logos on the left chest. So here is going to be a 3.5 inches. That's a standard pocket left chest logo that we like to do. And then I have a sample here that we're not going to use, but it is a 6-inch design. And then lastly, these are going to be the neck tag labels. So there are different size neck tags that you can do. I've seen neck tags go from 3 inches all the way down to 1 inch. Just keep in mind, the smaller the neck tag, the smaller the detail. You want to make sure that you're at least using 3 pixels on the thickness in order to have all the fine details come through. So I'll show you that in a minute. But this is going to be the same design, and we have an example of a 3-inch design right here, and then a 2.5 inch design right here, so that you guys can see the differences when I put this on a shirt. And then I'll also talk about the details when I get to pressing these. So these are all the materials that I'm going to be using. Lastly, let's talk about the t-shirts. As I mentioned, these are Next Level 3600s. We like these shirts a lot because it is soft and it is more of a fitted t-shirt. Some people don't like them because they don't like the fitted look, but I personally like these and we use this all the time. It's 100% cotton, and I want to show you the size difference between the two. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the large first. And I just want to share what the width of the design is, or the width of the t-shirt. So I have 20 inches across the chest and 25 inches from the bottom up. So 20 by 25 for the small. We have about 18 by 23. So those are the size differences between the small and the large. And then we're going to go ahead and get this pressed for you. The first one I'm going to be doing is we're going to be working on the size small t-shirt. So let's go ahead and get pressing. So let's go ahead and trim the transfers. These are the favorite scissors that we've tested before that we really like for DTF. It cuts really, really well. And so I'm going to go ahead and trim off the size small first. And then let's go ahead and cut out a pocket logo. All right, now that I have the transfers cut, again, I mentioned that we're going to do the small shirt first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be hitting the front left chest pocket. So the left chest is actually right here. So what we normally, there's different sizing and alignment that people do, but for us, we like to go 4 inches down from the center and then 4 inches to the right, and then we'll center that logo. And I'll show you what that looks like. So this is just our regular standard ruler. I'm going to give you an example of what we're going to be doing. So for example, if this is the middle of the shirt, if you take a closer look, we're going to go 4 inches down. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And then if I go across 4 inches, 4 inches this way, then I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is the center of where the transfer is going to be sitting. So that's kind of how we do the alignment here. This is how, using the old school ruler way. The other way that I've seen people use, we don't use this all the time because we actually use a laser leveler, which I'll show you later on. But this is a t-shirt alignment plastic guide right here. And this also helps you align the shirt. So the way that this works is you would just grab this. You want to make sure that you're reading this the right way. And I'm just going to go ahead and position it like this. The reason why it is where it's at right here, because for example, if this is going to be 4 inches, we are just going to take an imaginary line and pretend that it runs through the top, bottom of the collar. So that is where the 4 inches is at. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is basically 4 inches down. If I take this 4 inches across, this is going to be my midpoint. So once I have my midpoint set, I'll get the transfer. I'll eyeball the middle. I'll place it down there. And that's how we position a left chest logo. So in this particular case as well, what I want to do, because this is a smaller transfer and I don't want this to lift with the heat press, I'm going to use some heat resistant tape, and I'm just going to go ahead and grab and place it on the corner. You don't need too much of it. You just want it to hold in place when you're going to be transferring this. So now that it is set in place, I'm going to go ahead and lay this down here. So the reason why I didn't lay it or align it into the machine is because it is tight to use here. It is also only a 15 by 15, so it is more difficult to align it. So I like to align it outside of the press once it is already centered and in place. I'm going to go ahead and slide it in here. Main thing I'm watching out for at this point, I don't really need it to be lined up because I've already lined up the design. I'm just making sure that all the edges are past the pad, and then the neckline is also going to be past it. So let's go ahead and slide it in. Now that everything is nice and centered and secure, I'm going to go ahead and press our transfers. We press our transfers at 300 degrees at 7 seconds since this is 100% cotton. And it's already set as far as the pressure and the time and the pressure. Let's go ahead and bring this down. Let's go ahead and clamp. Great. All right, so let's go ahead and take this off now. Now that everything is pressed, I'm going to let this cool down. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and measure up the back, and I'll show you guys how we do that. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this around. Now I'm going to take a ruler, and I'm going to come down here, and we are going to do this at 3.5 inches from the top. So it's going to be right here. It's actually going to be right underneath this seam or this neckline here. Just going to go ahead and fold this in half so I get a midpoint. I'm going to take the edge here. Then I'm going to fold it in half. And that's how I know that's the midpoint of the design. I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to go down 3.5 inches. 1, 2, 3. 3.5 is that point right here. I'm going to bring up the transfer design all the way to the top right here. And I'm going to align it. I'm going to make sure that it is aligned on both sides. So I'm going to use my thumbs. I'm going to, so I need to shift this over just a tad bit. Now from end to end, it is pretty centered. This is going to be the midpoint of where I'm going to be starting off at. So let's go ahead and grab some tape again. Let's go ahead and tape off the edges. Okay, let's just go ahead and double check. I'm going to take the furthest point of the pixel, the image, and it is centered. So this is perfect. Now, what I'm noticing here as well, what I usually do when I'm hitting the back of a shirt, because there is a neckline that's underneath right here, you don't want this neckline to be an issue when you're heat pressing, because if you're pressing on top of this neckline, you're going to have a little gap right there, and you're going to have a little bit of a distance between the press and the actual transfer. So what you want to do in this case, you want to use a heat press pillow. This will go in between the t-shirt, and then when it's in the t-shirt, that line won't be a factor in the press anymore. It'll be nice and straight, it'll be nice and flat. So I already have it all aligned and in the shirt. I'm simply just bringing it in here. What I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that it is within the heat press. Okay, so I want to make sure that it is within the heat press, so when I'm actually pressing onto here, there's nothing that's going to be obstructing. So I'm feeling to making sure that there's no wrinkles and everything is nice and straight, and of course it is within the boundaries of the press. Now that everything is set, I'm going to go ahead and press. Heavy pressure, 300 degrees, 7 seconds. All right. Flip this around. Okay. Now that I'm waiting for the back to cool down, I can start peeling the front already since it's already cooled down. So what I'm going to do is, this particular design has drip marks that are going down. So instead of peeling up, peeling down would actually be more ideal. Just because of the way that it is designed. You don't want to peel against the grain. So what we're doing here is I'm just going to go ahead and remove the tape. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a corner, use one hand holding it down. I'm going to peel. Everything transferred through, everything looks nice and clean. I'm going to flip this around and I'm going to bring it in for a second press. So one of the things that I actually got lucky on is that even with the padding and I didn't adjust the pressure here, I'm still able to clamp this down fully. So you should test out your pressure before you are pressing on, because if you're using a heat press pillow, you need to compensate for that or else it's not going to close properly. But this works in my occasion. It's just very, very tight, but heavy pressure is good. So let's count down. All right, it automatically opens. That's what I love about this press. And there you go. So the first part of the design is done. I'm just going to give you a quick preview. It's hard to see because of all the fancy colors here, but everything is nice. Nothing is protruding out. It is nice and on there. I see lines that are going down, so I know that there's enough heat pressure. So I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to do the same thing. Since this is cooled down, I'm just going to go ahead and take off the top stick tape, and then I'm going to, again, this is a better view because you guys can see the drip marks. It's going south, so it is easier and more natural for me to peel from the top down. I'm just going to go ahead and peel, and voila. Let's remove the tape. Now guys, we recommend flipping this around to do a second press. You technically can do a second press this way, but we always recommend flipping it around because sometimes we have customers that are printing gradient images. And if you're printing gradient images, there are times where not everything transfers completely. If you do not flip it around and you guys press it again, that leftover residue might transfer onto the t-shirt and it is unwanted. So that's the reason why we say to flip it around. But you guys can technically do it both ways. It just depends on how clean that film is afterwards. So with that said, we're gonna lay this back down. I'm gonna make sure that when I press it, it is within the boundaries again. Let's go for that second press. All right. Guys, take a look at this. The front chest pocket is done. This is a size small again. And then the back, very, very nice, super colorful. I love this, love the design. And then the next thing that we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be showing you how to create the neck tag for this. So something I forgot to mention is the presses that we're gonna be using here. For the main press here, I was using a Vivor. This is a 15 by 15 semi-automatic heat press. So we tested this heat press and it works great. It does have good pressure. I'll have a link below in case you guys are interested. But for our neck tags, we are going to be using the Stahls Hotronix. This is actually a hat press, and I like this hat press because it has dual heating patterns. So it has a heating element from the bottom as well as the top. We use it for hats all the time, but it can also be used for neck tags. So that's what I really like about this one. On top of it too is that it has a very nice customizable interface with also a pressure gauge system. So this is always really important to know actually how much pressure you have. So for example, you can tighten the pressure with this knob right here. And I'm just gonna do a demo. If I close this down, you're gonna see the pressure and it's gonna roll over to 8. That means out of a 1 to 10, this has 8 in pressure. So that's pretty good. Once I put the neck tag actually in there, it should add another 1 or 2 to that pressure. So that's what we like about this one, and we're gonna be using this heat press to demonstrate how we press a neck tag. So the days of doing a neck tag with a screen printer is over. Now we're able to do neck tags with DTF label. What that means is that you're actually able to add full color designs onto your neck tag, which is rarely seen in the t-shirt market. So what we like to do here is I'm going to show you, there's 2 samples. I have a 3-inch and a 2.5 inches. These are the normal sizes that I've seen people use. Personally, for me, I think the 3-inch is too big, so I like to stay within 2.5 inches. Now I'm going to flip this around because I'm actually going to show you the most important part when you're dealing with neck tags, which is going to be the size of the font that you're using. Because the neck tags have small disclaimers, material information, things like that. It is very, very crucial and important that you're using at least 3 pixels for that. You want to make sure that you're using at least 3 pixels so that we can contract this image and still create a white backing. The white backing is important because that's what adheres onto your t-shirt. If there's no white backing onto the letters, that means there's no glue and you're going to have a very difficult time. So if I put this down, if you guys take a closer look, you can see that all the letters have a little bit of white there, and this is the glue that's on there. So this is adequate, this is enough. Even though this is very small, it is roughly about 7 pixels, so this is definitely more than enough, and we can go at the minimum 3 pixels. So again, this is 7, normal. The lowest we can do is 3, and these are how the letters go out, and I want to show you how we're going to get this done. So let's go ahead and grab our scissors. I'm going to go ahead and trim this out. I'm going to show you both actually on the shirt so that you can see how big that 3-inch one is. So for example, let's go ahead and cut this tag. I believe it's actually a tearaway. So let's just tear that away. And if we did 3 inches, you see how big that is? That's pretty big. Not a deal breaker. Some people might think it's perfectly fine. It depends on the brand, depends the look that you're trying to do. We own this drip brand and we are just collaborating with this, so we are gonna have some fun and we're actually testing out these neck tags. So this is gonna be the midpoint. I'm gonna do 2.5 inches. I'm gonna grab some tape off the edges so that it stays in place. All right, so that's how it's going to look when it's on the press. All right, so we got this laid down. We're gonna go ahead and lay this on our hat press. Again, it's already at 300 degrees. It was cooling down just a tad bit. I have it at 8 seconds. It can technically go 7 seconds, so you don't need the 8. Let's just go down to 7. Click OK. Not a big deal if it's 7 or 8 seconds. Our transfers really don't take a long time for it to be pressed. I'm gonna go ahead and lie this down right here. I'm gonna go ahead and expose the neckline a little bit so I can get it all out of the way. Okay. So in this instance, because the neckline is right above right here and it's so close to the transfer, I'm actually going to adjust it. I think I'm going to get a better result if I lower this a tad bit, because I don't want that transfer to be sitting right underneath here, because it creates a little bump and that might affect the pressure that's going to be hitting here. So now that it's cleared, this neckline is cleared and is nice and even and soft, and I have the pressure set at 8, I am ready to press. So I can technically press down right here, but I'm going to expose this so that you guys can see the pressure. I have it set. Let's go ahead and press. So it says OL, which is going to be over limit, which is good because any heavy pressure is what's important. So it's done pressing. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my microfiber cloth, just to be safe, because this has very, very tiny letters. I'm just gonna give it a quick rub, just on the small details. All right, and just like that, I'm gonna let it cool down before I peel. All right, let's now go for the peel. So this is gonna be a very sensitive area because of the tiny letters. I'm gonna be extra careful. I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the tape first. Now that I have the tape out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead, instead of peeling your transfer up, I'm gonna peel it left and right and use the flex of the transfer to help everything glide off. I find that a lot easier than just peeling up. Sometimes if you peel up too quick, you get some letters and details that pull up with it. So just a rule of thumb, crack it open, use one hand to hold it down, use the film as a flex, and then it should glide right off. You see how beautiful that is? The details there, you can read 100% cotton, wash cold, dry low, do not iron, limited edition design. So it transferred perfectly. This is beautiful, and you guys, you cannot achieve this using a screen print machine. You can't get this color, this detail done. This is something that it can only be achieved using DTF. So let's go ahead and do a second press. You still want to do that second press, and then I'm going to show you the back of the shirt and how it looks. So, all right, this is the full design. So detailed, so beautiful, guys. I'm gonna turn this around and you can't see it. It's perfect. If you guys are doing a white color shirt, or you guys want any suggestions on what color to use here, I would say if you want one color that will work for light and your dark color, use a light gray color. That works for both, and you can't see it using a white shirt. If I press this onto a white t-shirt, depending on the thickness of the t-shirt, you might see this from the back. So make sure you guys are using a color that will work. I suggest using a gray if you guys are not sure and you want something neutral. Let's go ahead and get the large shirt done, and I'll show you guys with our different heat press. So some of you may have noticed that I actually pressed a size large tag on a size small shirt. We are just doing this for the video. I only printed a bunch of larges, so it is right. It wasn't a mistake that I did, but I'm just doing this to demonstrate that for you guys. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the next graphic. And excuse me if you guys can hear the sound. It is the sound of our compressor going off, but I'll do my best to speak clearly. Now, as I mentioned, we went with a 12 by 13 design here. We could have easily kept it consistent at 13 by 14, but I want to show you the difference. So this is a 12 by 13. It looks perfect for a size small shirt that we have here. If we did the 13 by 14, yes, it will work. It will be a little bit bigger, but it is actually pretty big. Once this person actually has a shirt on, you can see the letters will be right at the side of his waist. So we wanted to make it just a little bit smaller, and that works here. But this is going to be perfect for our size large. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold this in half. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and get that midpoint of the transfer. And then let's go ahead and get this set up. This is going to be our size large, and we're going to go ahead and lay this out on our heat press, and we'll show you how to get this one done. So this is going to be the left chest pocket design that we're going to be pressing on. This is the heat press that you guys have seen in a lot of our videos that we'll be using here. We went ahead and constructed a laser leveling guide to help us align our designs, but I'll show you how to do it on a manual basis. And so let's say if I have the shirt pulled up to this line, we're going to do the same spot, 4 inches down, 4 inches across, and dead center right in the middle. Because the laser here is set for the middle point and we have it at 2.5 inches, I just need to adjust the laser to compensate for that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my ruler. I'm gonna go down 4 inches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is gonna be the midpoint. So I'm just gonna bring this down. Now that I have this set, I'm gonna bring this down 4 inches. So 1, 2, 3, and to the 4. So let's go ahead and move that. All right, so now this is 4 inches down, 4 inches across. The transfer is gonna sit right here in the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and take our shirt. Let's go ahead and lay it here. Again, I'm making sure that the neck goes above the press. I'm making sure that it is nice and aligned from all ends. I'm gonna go ahead and get our transfer. Gonna smack it right dead in the middle. And then because this is a smaller piece of transfer, I wanna make sure that it doesn't peel off when the heat press goes up. Because sometimes it does that and it can ruin a shirt. Especially if you're doing that at the very last motion, you definitely don't wanna mess up the shirt at the last press. So it's dead center, right in the middle. I have this set at 300 degrees, 7 seconds, heavy pressure. This one in particular is an air pneumatic press. So instead of going from low to high, I actually control this by the pound, the pound. So this is 40 pounds per square inch, and I can adjust that easily with this nozzle. And then now I'm gonna go ahead and bring it here. I'm gonna go ahead and press it. I love air pneumatic because it is consistent and it has really good pressure all around every single time. This is a dual, so I can literally go back and forth, do multiple shirts at once without having any issues. So we're able to knock out quite a bunch of shirts here. We actually did, I believe, I think it was like 100 shirts in an hour or so, I forget, but we're definitely able to knock out a lot of shirts with just this heat press here. So now that it's set, and I'm gonna go ahead and take out the tape. Again, I'm gonna have the same concept. Since the drip is going down south, I'm gonna peel from the top. There you go. Everything transferred through all the way. I'm gonna flip this around. Let's go for that second press. And a lot of you guys have actually asked me about this heat press before. It doesn't have a brand name. We actually imported this from Asia. It is just a dual air pneumatic heat press. We've had it for a few years now. It is a great press. Unfortunately, I don't have the name or the link for you guys because we purchased this from Asia directly a few years back. Now with that said, the front is nice and set, nice and perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and work on the back. Same thing, but now I'm gonna go ahead and adjust the lasers back. I wanna make sure that the center is going to be centered again. And then the top, instead of going 4 inches, I'm gonna do 3.5. So I'm just gonna eyeball it, move it down there. I'm pretty sure that's pretty close. 1, 2, 3, 3.5. So it's just lowering it just a tiny bit. That's 3.5 from the top. I'm gonna go ahead and lay down the shirt. Now this is where it is very important to use the heat press pillow. If I was just to press this straight on, then you would see this line right here. This neckline is protruding and you would see this neckline coming through. You can technically move it all the way up, but to make things easier, not confuse yourself, just get a heat press pillow. You can go ahead and stuff this inside. Trust me, it'll make it a lot easier. And now I'm gonna make sure that it is nice and aligned again. So I'm raising this to the top. Let's go ahead and feel the sides. Make some adjustments if you need to. All right, now it's ready to be pressed. Let's go ahead and grab our transfer, bring it to the top. Again, I folded this earlier, so I know the midpoint already. I'm just gonna bring that right to the laser. I'm gonna double check with my fingers. It's right about 3 inches on both sides. So it is pretty straight, pretty centered. In my opinion, this is pretty good. So let's go ahead and make sure that there's no wrinkles. Everything is nice and flat. I don't even feel the neckline underneath because I have the heat press pillow. So let's go ahead and bring this across. We'll do a press. All right, let's go ahead and let this cool down for just a tad bit. All right, let's go ahead and go for the peel. One hand holding the shirt down, one hand holding the transfer. Instead of peeling up, I'm gonna peel left and right. So I'm gonna go down, peel. Everything is flawless, nice. I can flip it around. As you guys can see, since I had this area cut off, I'm just gonna use the same side. I don't have an issue because there wasn't any gradients to this, so it's gonna be just fine. For that second press, no residue that's going to be left over. All All right, there you go. It's beautiful, perfect. I love the colors, guys. This is what you guys can do with DTF. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys how to press a neck tag with the heat press. I'm also gonna show you guys what not to do, and then I'll show you guys what you should do. So I'm gonna use a sample shirt here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and take off the tag. It's just a scrap shirt, doesn't really matter, and I'm gonna show you what not to do. So normally, if somebody is gonna be doing a neck tag with this heat press, what they would I'm gonna turn this off because I don't need it. But you would think that you can just lie this down right here, and then you can grab your neck tag, and then you can place it here, and you can press it. So I'm gonna show you guys the result of this first, so you guys can see what you should not do and why it's gonna be doing what it does, and then I'll show you the correct way to get it done. So going this way, I'm not using a heat press pillow or anything like that. I'm at the mercy of this neckline here. So what I'm thinking that's gonna happen, it may not happen, it may work, but what I'm thinking is gonna happen is that even though this is a air pneumatic press with a lot of pressure, there's just not enough pressure to hit this gap, and it's just gonna be a little bit of a pocket right here, and that's gonna affect the overall transferability of this tiny detailed neck tag. So let's go ahead and just give it a shot. Let's see what happens. And it might work, so it might surprise me, but I don't think that's the proper way to do it. But let me show you how you're supposed to do it. So while we let that one rest, I have our heat press pillow here. Again, this is padded, so this is what allows you to go between creases, necklines, buttons, zippers, all that good stuff. Now I'm gonna grab my shirt here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the tag, tear that away. Now, let's go ahead and lay this down right here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and grab our transfer. I'm just gonna go ahead and lay it down right here. And now when the heat press goes on top of this and it presses it down, this area is gonna go lower than that area, and it's gonna be nice and flat. And that's the purpose of the pillow. It gives some cushioning so that you have a flat surface, which is really important when you're pressing. So now with that said, I'm just gonna go ahead and press. Same thing, 7 seconds, heavy pressure. All right, I'm gonna lay this down for a bit. Let's go ahead and revisit. And let's go ahead and give it a peel. And it might work, but my tip also works. So let's go ahead and try this. Grab a corner, peel. Look what happened, guys. I lost the D, I lost all the little tiny details, and this is what you get. And this is a good heat press too. Imagine if you were using a regular heat press without the air pneumatic, you would get even worse results than this. So that's trash. Let's go ahead and bring this shirt back where I did it properly with the pillow. I did the exact same thing. So I'm gonna grab a corner, I'm gonna peel. Look at that, guys. Peeled all the way. This is beautiful, this is perfect. Tell me you've seen a better neck tag than that. I don't think you guys have. So let's go ahead and cover this up. We want to do that second press. Don't forget that pillow. And guys, I'm not gonna even use this pillow. There's different sizes for this. So the kit that you can buy from Amazon has different sizes. You can even use a pad that small and you'll be fine. All you need is that pillow to absorb some of that cushion. Centered. All right. So there you have it, guys. We've got the front left chest pocket done. We showed you guys a full back design using a heat press pillow. We also show you a properly done neck tag that is absolutely detailed. If you guys have any questions in regards to the whole process, make sure you guys drop a comment below. I'll be able to help you guys out. If you guys found this video helpful, make sure you guys smash that like button, share it with somebody. We're here to help you guys out. If you guys found value, make sure you guys do that so that you guys can continue supporting this channel. Make sure you guys tune in because we'll be dropping some new videos next week. My name is Phil. I'll catch you guys on the next one.